At our therapy group, and I just love working here because Ryan really just loves and takes care of her team. So we're always just doing new things, and it's never boring. So I feel valued and taken care of.
Yeah. Okay. Hi everybody, this is Kelly with Peachy, and I am here today with Ryan Landinguin. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So this is an amazing company. They've been in business really almost only 4 years and have already gotten more than 60 speech therapists working with them. They're growing and really creative in how they approach their clients, their work, and attracting and retaining employees. So happy to talk to you today.
Thanks for having me.
I think we have a lot to learn from you.
I'm excited.
Okay, let's get started.
So I am a pediatric speech language pathologist, and working originally in the schools and the private practice setting, I realized that my real passion and my real niche is early intervention and working with the babies. And having children myself and having friends who have children, I really grew and developed my ability to give advice to parents and really watch them implement strategies into their child's development and see the progress within. So we have grown from just myself 4 years ago to, like you said, I think 60 therapists in 4 years, and we're made up of pediatric speech, occupational, and physical therapists, all providing early intervention in the family's home, which is, as we know, the most natural setting for a young child. So, yes, and we are all over San Diego County. We service as far north as Oceanside and as far south as the border. Into early intervention, I really kind of started following the trends nationally in terms of how the service is delivered and what are the most progressive methods of delivery, as well as successful, of course. And what I saw was in the Midwest is really where they're most progressive in early intervention. So 30 years ago, going backwards to the 90s, when early intervention was really starting to, they were really starting to service kids who weren't talking. And what they were doing is sending them into the clinic setting, providing their speech or occupational or physical therapy to them in the clinic for maybe a half hour, 45 minutes a week, and the parent goes home. What they saw there is there's not a lot of progress being made by these kids because they're just getting that for a half an hour. It just wasn't enough to see progress. So then they started requiring that the family and the child the therapist goes into the home, which is the child's most natural environment. And this does help a lot with, a little one who might have trouble transitioning to a new environment. They might be really distracted by all the things on the wall in a clinic. So that helps a lot when the therapist can go into the home. But the problem was therapists were taking the clinic, packing it into their bag, and they bring what we call the Mary Poppins bag to the family's home, and then sit on the floor and provide that service. And we were seeing that really wasn't making the progress that we wanted to ultimately see. Truly what is most impactful is that we teach the parents to be us when we're not there. So what I say is I can come in as a speech therapist and provide your child with 1 hour of therapy a week, and you'll see some progress, but I can teach you to implement those strategies, and you can provide 60 hours of intervention throughout the week, and you're gonna see a lot more progress. So the misconception is that we have a master's or a doctorate degree, and that comes with a special fairy dust that we can sprinkle over the kids that will help them, progress and develop. But really the truth is just, implementing those small tips and tricks, throughout the day and throughout the family's routine, and we see so much growth and progress.
So what you've done is really empowered the parents and made them feel valuable in the process and that they're a part of the solution.
And they are the most important person in their child's life, so why wouldn't they take that role?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm sure that's very satisfying for them.
It's really, it's amazing to come into a home and see a parent who's really, they're kind of devastated at that point. You don't anticipate your child struggling in an area when you find out you're having a baby, right? But then you have the baby and life happens and it's maybe not what's expected. And so there's a lot of guilt and shame and self-doubt that comes along with a diagnosis or a delay early on. And what our job is to support and build up that caregiver and give them every tool that they need in their tool belt so that they can see the progress. So it's very exciting for us when we're there and the child says their first word or takes their first step, but the best is when the parent calls us and tells us that they did something to get their child to take their first step or say their first word. And then we know we've really done our job. So what we do is we really have worked and invested a lot of time into our therapists into getting to know each family individually. What first session right off the bat we do, it's called a routines-based interview, and that's where we're really just asking the family a lot of questions. Tell me about your day. What is it like when you wake up? And I don't want to just know, oh, we eat breakfast and then we get dressed and go to school. I want to know, like, where's the child when they wake up? Are they in your bed? Are they in their crib? Are they in their bed? Do they call for you, or do you just go get them? What is it like? Well, how are you interacting with your child throughout the day? Do you have a dog? What's the dog's name? Who likes to let the dog out? How do you let the dog out? And we're really figuring out each individual family's routines and specific moments throughout the day. And then what we do from all of that information is we compile a list of like 8 to 10 moments. Routine sometimes is the wrong word because you think of bath time, bedtime, snack time. But we're really looking for those little moments throughout the day where we can just teach the parent to do a couple things differently. So it might be your child loves to turn the light switch on and off every time they walk in and out of the room. Well, now I can say a certain word every time they turn the light on or off. And then the child's hearing that 5, 6, 7 times a day versus, once during therapy.
So you're really building a deeper empathy for what they're going through every day. Mm-hmm. And in return, they're building their trust for you and in your therapy group.
Yes, definitely. And we talk a lot about really understanding what the family values and what's important to them. Because for us, it might be really important that the child learns to use prepositions like on, off, under. But maybe what the parent is really worried about is providing food on the table for their child to eat. And so when we're sitting here talking about, you need to use model with the word on, and in their head, they're thinking, I have way bigger issues. So it's our job to sort of compartmentalize what we've learned in school in terms of developmental milestones and really dial into what is important to that family and how we can help with the family. It might just be that epic meltdown that the child has every time they have to put on pants in the morning. What can we do to help with that? Our mission, of course, is empowering parents and caregivers. So one of the ways we do that is we help families access different resources around the community. One thing that we're doing, and we plan for February of 2020, is we are holding a fundraiser to raise enough money to purchase 50 tablets or Chromebooks for families who maybe wouldn't have the devices to be able to access the teletherapy. So we're really excited about that. With the holiday season approaching, we just had our holiday party, and we chose 6 families of our current client base that were in need and nominated by their therapists, and we provided their Christmas for them, toys, diapers, books, groceries, whatever they requested. The company is amazing, and they came together and put it together for 6 families, so we're excited to present that to them next week.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Renee Martinez, and I'm the lead occupational therapist for RL Therapy Group. I really enjoy working for RL Therapy because we are a company that really strives to care for our employees and care for the clients that we serve and provide services to. We really emphasize on building a community and making that like the center of our company. And we really want to build up a culture where everyone is really able to freely, share their thoughts and ideas and find ways that we can continue to grow as a company every single day.
So yeah, when I first started the company, one of the biggest challenges was filling the demand. So with rising autism rates and developmental delays, therapists are really high in demand. So I had to really figure out what was in a company that a therapist really wanted to work for. And I know that in other companies, in San Diego or across the country, we are seeing therapists burning out. So they're seeing, 10, 12 sessions a day. They are, there's not a therapist-centered culture. There's an overemphasis on numbers, and we're losing sight of the people who are providing the early intervention. So I really tried to create a therapist-centered culture. We want everyone who works for us to know how special they are to us and what they mean, and each person really represents so much within the company.
Great.
So when I first started, I created quarterly company meetings where it's an opportunity for all of the contractors or employees working for us to come together once a quarter. We might have a guest speaker or just time to kind of collaborate with one another and talk about how things have been going, what's been challenging, what's been successful, and really learn from each other. It's been a really great time to just network with each other, and sometimes we offer referral bonuses. If they bring a friend that's a therapist to the meeting, they get their name thrown in a raffle, and so that's been effective for us. And then
what are the types of guest speakers that you have come to your events?
Based off of the need, usually they're people who are within our disciplines, so they're speech therapists, they're occupational therapists, or they're physical therapists, but then they specialize in one area in particular, and they come and do a PowerPoint or kind of talk to us a little bit more on how we can improve our skills in that one area. Sometimes we have other people from the community come in, so Child Welfare Services has come, we've had sexual abuse training come, so related fields too have been really helpful for us in terms of just working with families and putting them in contact with resources within the community that can be helpful for them. And I think therapists really value having time set aside in their schedule for opportunities like that, so that they can be better, they can better serve their families. So our therapists all work 4 days. They work Monday through Thursday, which is definitely attractive. Fridays is sort of just their day for collaboration. We could call it Phone a Friend Friday. They can work on reports, whatever they need. Also let them know, I'm not a micromanager. So if they want to get their reports done on Sunday night and they want to fly somewhere for the weekend, they have the opportunity to have that extra day to do work wherever they would like. Yes. So we do have a biller, a scheduler, and lead therapist as well. So we come together once a week and talk about how we can best support our team. My lead therapists are amazing at kind of making sure that we're touching base with each individual therapist on a weekly or bi-weekly status, just to make sure that everybody is doing well and happy and carrying out our cultural values. It wasn't until this year that we actually took our cultural values and put them on paper, but we knew that they existed and we knew they were active in real life, which to me was the most important thing. A lot of times you see the cultural values written down, but you're not seeing them living in the experiences and the interactions. So that was kind of the easy part for us, and it was really fun. So we definitely emphasize family first, and that might be working with the family that you're working with, or it might be your own personal family. But either way, family first. Support, we've got your back. So we're always supporting one another. We have what's called buddy ups, where we pair up therapists each month, and one therapist observes the other therapist observes her back, and then they meet for coffee or lunch, and they just build each other up, and they talk about what they loved. And that's been a great way to build interactions and relationships within a remote community, which has been, somewhat of a challenge for us. So we've really had to sort of think outside the box, which is another one of our cultural values, on ways that we can really build those interactions and those relationships up with one another. We're always continuously learning, and we are innovative in the way that we deliver our service. I think number one, just surrounding yourself with amazing people who inspire me all the time. My leadership team is, not that I condone this, but sends me text messages all weekend long if they heard an awesome podcast or have a great book recommendation. They're just as passionate about what we're doing as I am, and so that's always helpful. If there's a day where I'm feeling like tired, they're the other side of it, and they're ready to go, and that amps me back up. I love listening to podcasts if I'm walking on the treadmill or running or working out. That's always inspirational for me. And we always have a book. Our leadership team is always reading a book together. And we kind of keep the same pace. So we know we're reading, chapter 5 through 6 by next Monday. And we, write down like things that spoke to us. And then we come together and we talk about and everybody interprets it differently. It's always just so exciting and inspiring to hear everyone's interpretations. Last year, we started thinking about our parent coaching routines-based model, and we knew that, when we go into a home and we're providing the parent coaching and the feedback, I started thinking well, what can we do that's progressive, that's going to reach communities and families who maybe aren't able to receive this service in home? And I really started thinking more about teletherapy. Teletherapy is a growing model that's used obviously in medical, doctors and nurses use it all the time, and speech therapists are beginning to use it, but really 80% of what you're seeing is in the school-aged population. No one has really done it in early intervention just yet, so we formed a teletherapy pilot team last year, and we started really brainstorming what's this going to look like. We knew we couldn't put a 2-year-old in front of an iPad and ask them to sit there, right? That doesn't align with our philosophy either. So we knew this had to be parent coaching, and we had to really be able to look at routines. Long story short, we did our pilot program, and we were blown away at the results. We were able to work with families who maybe would not be receiving services otherwise, and we were really able to empower parents and caregivers, and they reported that they saw more progress using our approach than any other approach that they've used before. So I know that this is the future. Just this year, we were able to sign a contract with Northern California Redwood Coast Regional Center. They have an extremely rural community, and so now we're able to provide therapy to their families who wouldn't otherwise be receiving it. So my goal and my dream is to continue to push this approach, and it might be progressive for some people, but I think, everybody knows that this is needed, and this is the best way to empower parents, without having to worry about rural communities or families who might speak another language besides English. We're now able to bring in a third-party interpreter and reach anyone. So it's really exciting to be part of this innovative team, and I definitely want to just keep pushing forward and reach more and more communities throughout the country.